Romy's ship broke through the atmosphere of Zirion with a roar that shook the hull. Outside the viewport, the world spread like a living painting. The land was a mix of glowing green forests, rivers that floated above the ground, and mountains that shimmered with strange colors. He had never seen anything like it. Humans had explored many planets, but Zirion was different. It felt alive. He pressed a button to stabilize the descent. The landing pad was not much more than a clearing among the floating trees. Romy's hands shook with excitement. His heart raced. He had been trained for years to explore alien worlds. But training could not prepare a person for the feeling of standing alone on a strange planet. The ship's hatch opened with a hiss. Romy stepped out carefully. The air smelled sweet, almost like flowers, but heavier. It was thick, warm, and alive. Tiny lights floated in the air, like small glowing insects, but they did not fly away. The trees around him had leaves that shimmered with every color of the rainbow. The ground beneath his boots seemed soft and alive, almost pulsing. Romy took his first steps carefully. Every movement made small ripples in the glowing grass. The wind carried soft sounds, like whispers, but he could not tell if they were natural or something else. He checked his equipment. The sensors showed no immediate threats. Still, a sense of being watched ran down his spine. He remembered the team back on the ship. They were supposed to explore Zirion together, but the storm had arrived suddenly. In seconds, fierce winds had torn the group apart, leaving Romy alone. His comms had failed. He tried calling, but the only response was static. He was alone, truly alone on a world that seemed beautiful and dangerous at the same time. Romy set up a small camp near a glowing river. He activated a shield to protect him from the cold night that was coming. The lights in the sky were strange. The sun had two small orbs, one larger than the other, casting shadows that moved strangely across the land. He ate a small ration of food, though his appetite was low. His mind kept running over possibilities. How could he find his team? How could he survive until help arrived? As night fell, the forest around him changed. Shadows moved in ways that were unnatural. Romy's heart pounded. He trained for alien encounters, but nothing could prepare someone for the feeling of being watched by a world that might be alive. From the darkness, he saw creatures with long limbs and eyes that glowed softly. They did not attack. They only watched. Romy froze, remembering every lesson about first contact. The creatures turned and disappeared into the trees, but he could feel eyes on him all night. He could not sleep, not with the feeling of being observed. He walked along the glowing river, hoping movement would calm him. The water reflected the sky in strange colors. It was beautiful, but it was also alien. The forest whispered as if speaking in a language he could not understand. Romy noticed strange plants along the river bank. Some moved when he approached, curling their glowing petals as if shy. Others had vines that reached toward him, but stopped short. He touched one. It felt warm, almost like it was breathing. He stepped back quickly. The planet was alive in ways humans had never seen. Every step he took reminded him that this was not just a new world. It was a world with intelligence, one that could notice him and perhaps judge him. Days passed. Romy explored cautiously. He found small creatures, some no bigger than his hand, that glowed with soft light. They did not seem aggressive. He watched them for hours. He realized that even though he was alone, he was not without company. The planet itself seemed to observe him, almost curiously. He named one of the glowing creatures Mira. Mira followed him around sometimes, disappearing when he looked closely. Romy smiled, feeling a small comfort in the strange companion. Food was a challenge. The rations he brought were running low. He tried the fruits of the glowing trees. Some were sweet, others bitter. A few caused his stomach to rumble. He learned which were safe. Survival became a rhythm. Eat, sleep, explore, observe. Yet he could not shake the feeling that he was not alone in the way that mattered. Something more intelligent was here, something larger than the glowing creatures. One evening, as the twin suns set and cast long shadows across the land, Romy saw a figure in the distance. At first, he thought it was a trick of light, but it moved with a grace that no animal could have. Tall, glowing softly, with eyes that reflected the sunset, The figure stopped and watched him. Romy froze, heart racing. He tried to speak, but his voice seemed small against the vastness of Zirian. The figure turned and disappeared into the forest. I spent the night thinking about the figure. Was it a creature? An alien intelligence? He had been alone for days, yet he now understood he might not be the first human here. Maybe the planet had others who were intelligent. Maybe this world had rulers, beings that humans had never imagined. By the third day, Romy's exploration led him to a valley filled with glowing crystals. The crystals seemed alive. They pulsed with light when he touched them. The valley felt sacred, like a hidden heart of the planet. He realized the figure he saw might live here. The energy was too strong, too controlled to be natural. He felt both fear and awe. He spent hours studying the crystals. He drew patterns in his notebook. The energy seemed to respond to his presence, dimming and brightening. Romy felt a strange connection. Perhaps this was a sign. Perhaps the planet was not hostile, but curious about him. He thought of his team again. If they could see this, they would not believe it. But he had to survive first. The night was quiet, but Romy sensed movement. This time, the figure did not run. It stepped out of the shadows into the open. Tall, with skin that shimmered like liquid metal, eyes deep and intelligent, it looked at him. Romy's breath caught. He raised his hand slowly, a gesture of peace. The figure tilted its head, and Romy felt something strange. The figure was not just observing. It was thinking. It was judging. For the first time, Romy realized he was standing before the ruler of this world. The energy of the figure was immense. It did not speak, yet its presence was commanding. Romy remembered every lesson about diplomacy, every story of first contact. He took a deep breath. He would have to show respect. He would have to prove he was not a threat. The figure raised a hand. Small light gathering at its fingertips. Romy held his ground. He had survived storms, alien creatures, and isolation. He could survive this. The figure stepped closer, and Romy could see the crown-like crest on its head, the intricate patterns along its body. This was the alien queen. He had read about legends of rulers on distant planets, but none compared to this. The queen stopped a few meters from him and studied him closely. Her eyes glowed softly, full of intelligence and curiosity. Romy bowed slightly. It felt natural. The queen seemed to understand the gesture. Then, in a voice that echoed in his mind rather than through sound, she asked a question that chilled him and amazed him at the same time. "Are you alone, human?" Romy swallowed. He knew the question was simple but heavy with meaning. "Yes," he replied, truthfully. He felt the weight of the planet and the queen's presence pressing down on him. He was alone, yet somehow he felt that his journey had only just begun. The queen did not move closer or attack. She observed him as if deciding his fate. Romy understood that the story of humanity on Zirian was about to begin, and that his courage, patience, and respect would be tested like never before. Night fell completely. The stars were unfamiliar, yet bright. Romy felt small, yet alive. He camped near the glowing river, aware that he was being watched. But now, he was not afraid. Not completely. He knew he had met the ruler of this world. He had taken the first step in a story that would change both humans and aliens forever. As sleep finally claimed him, he dreamed of the queen's eyes, full of curiosity and intelligence. He knew the next day would bring new discoveries, new challenges, and the start of a bond that could alter the fate of two worlds. Romy was alone, but not lonely. He had arrived on Zirian, and the adventure had only just begun. Romy woke to the soft glow of Zirian's twin suns. The air was warm, scented with the sweet aroma of alien flowers. The glowing river near his camp reflected the morning light, sending sparks of color dancing across his face. Last night's encounter with the alien queen haunted his mind. He could not stop thinking about her eyes, glowing with intelligence and curiosity. He knew she was watching him even now. He packed his small gear carefully. Every movement was deliberate. He had learned to respect the planet and its life forms. The glowing creatures that had followed him before hovered around his hands, curious but cautious. Romy smiled. He had named one Mira, and it seemed to understand him in some way. Mira floated near his shoulder, her soft light comforting him in the alien wilderness. Romy decided to follow the trail of energy he had noticed yesterday in the Crystal Valley. The patterns in the crystals had pulsed with a strange rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. He felt certain that this was connected to the Queen. As he moved, the forest whispered around him. Trees leaned slightly as he passed, their glowing leaves brushing his shoulders gently. The world felt alive, aware of his presence. After several hours, he reached the valley again. The crystals shone brightly, pulsating as if welcoming him. He stepped carefully, not wanting to disturb the natural order. Suddenly, the air shimmered, and the figure of the alien queen appeared once more. She was taller than he remembered, her crown like crest catching the sunlight. Her skin reflected soft colors, changing with every movement. The queen did not speak aloud. Romy could feel her thoughts, subtle and slow, like waves reaching his mind. He sensed curiosity and caution. He took a deep breath and stepped forward. "I am Romy, human explorer," he said, using his voice even though he doubted she could hear it in the usual way. He hoped that showing respect mattered more than words. The queen tilted her head. The air around them pulsed slightly. Romy realized she was communicating with him mentally. The words were not loud, but he understood them clearly in his mind. "You are fragile. Why do you walk alone in my world?" Romy swallowed. He had to be careful. His answer could determine whether she saw him as a threat or a visitor. "I am alone because of a storm. My team was separated. I mean no harm. I wish to learn about your world and survive here until I can reunite with them," he sent in return. The queen studied him closely. Her glowing eyes scanned his body and mind, seeking truth. Romy felt her attention like a weight, heavy but not oppressive. After a long moment, she stepped closer, her presence commanding yet gentle. "Humans are not like us. You are fragile, yet you persist. Tell me why," she asked. I thought carefully. "Humans survive because we think, we care, and we adapt. We do not always have the strongest bodies or the fastest minds, but we try. We face challenges, and we learn from them. That is how we survive." The queen seemed to consider his words. The air around them shifted slightly, like a wave passing through the valley. She did not speak aloud again, but Romy sensed approval. Slowly, she gestured for him to follow her. He hesitated. Following the ruler of an alien world could be dangerous. Yet something in her movement suggested she was not hostile. With careful steps, Romy followed her deeper into the Crystal Valley. The energy of the crystals grew stronger as they walked. Each step Romy took seemed to echo, sending small sparks of light along the path. They reached a clearing where floating platforms hovered above a glowing river. The platforms were connected by bridges of light that seemed solid yet shimmered in the air. The queen stopped on one of the platforms. Romy stepped carefully, testing the surface. It held him. He felt the energy of the world beneath his feet, strong and alive. The queen waited. Her eyes glowed softly. Romy realized this was a test. The queen wanted to see if he would step forward without fear. He took a deep breath and walked toward her, each step steady. When he reached her, he bowed slightly. The queen nodded, a gesture of acknowledgement that Romy understood. She led him to the center of the platform. There, a pool of glowing liquid reflected the sky. The queen gestured to the pool. Romy understood she wanted him to observe. He knelt beside it. The liquid rippled as he touched it. Images appeared in the surface, forests, rivers, creatures, and cities that glowed with light. He realized the queen was showing him the history of her world. The images told a story of a civilization older than humans could imagine. The aliens had advanced technology, but they lived in harmony with their planet. They did not conquer for greed. They protected and learned. Romy felt awe and humility. He was a visitor in a world far older and wiser than his own. The queen's presence remained close. Romy felt her studying his reaction. He knew she wanted to understand humans, just as he wanted to understand her people. "You are different from our stories," she said in his mind. "Stories speak of humans as weak, fragile, dangerous. You are cautious, respectful, and brave." Why Romy considered his answer carefully. "We survive because we care. We care for each other and the world around us. That is what makes us strong, even if we are small and fragile. We face dangers, but we try to do what is right. That is who we are. The queen's eyes glowed brighter. Romy sensed understanding. She was not just observing him. She was judging him, testing if humans could be trusted. He realized that this moment mattered more than survival. How he acted now could determine the future of human contact with her world. Suddenly, the air shifted. A breeze moved through the valley, stronger than any he had felt before. Leaves and crystals danced in the wind. Romy held his ground, steadying himself. The queen raised a hand, and the wind stopped immediately. Romy felt a surge of energy pass through him. He understood that the queen had immense power, yet she chose to test him gently rather than strike. "You have courage, human," she said. "You face the unknown and do not flee." That is rare. Romy felt pride, but also humility. He knew courage alone was not enough. Respect, understanding, and patience mattered just as much. The queen moved closer. Romy could feel her energy brushing against his mind, gentle yet commanding. "You will stay here for a time. You must learn and observe. You will face tests, but they are not meant to harm. They are meant to see if your kind can walk among us without breaking the balance of Zirian." Romy nodded. "I understand. I will do my best to respect your world and your people." She studied him for a moment longer. Then she gestured toward a bridge of light that led to a floating city in the distance. The city shimmered with colors and shapes unlike anything Romy had seen. Buildings floated above rivers of glowing liquid. Bridges connected platforms that hovered in the air. The queen's people moved gracefully, their forms reflecting the light of their world. Romy felt a mix of fear and wonder. He had dreamed of exploring alien civilizations, but nothing could prepare him for this. The city was alive, full of energy and intelligence. He realized that he was witnessing not only the ruler of a world, but the heart of an entire civilization. The queen led him along the bridge. He moved carefully, feeling the pulse of the platform beneath his feet. Mira floated nearby, curious but silent. Romy understood that even small creatures of this world were aware of the queen's presence. The energy of her people was unlike anything he had experienced. As they reached the city, Romy saw aliens of many shapes and sizes. Some had translucent skin, some had elongated limbs, and others glowed softly like the crystals in the valley. They stopped and watched him. Romy bowed slightly. Some nodded, some observed quietly. He realized that he was being tested not only by the queen, but by her people as well. The queen led him to a large platform at the center of the city. It was decorated with glowing patterns that seemed to shift and change. Romy felt as if the city itself was alive, observing him with curiosity. The queen gestured for him to sit. He knelt, showing respect, and waited. "You will learn quickly, human," she said. "Not through words alone, but through observation. You will see our ways, our culture, and our strength. Your kind has potential, but only if you understand the balance of our world." Romy nodded. "I will watch, learn, and respect. I will do my best to understand your people and your world." The queen's eyes glowed softly. She moved away slightly, allowing him to observe the city. Romy's heart raced with excitement. He realized that he was not just a visitor. He was part of something larger. Something that could change the way humans and aliens might understand each other. As the sun set, casting long shadows across the glowing platforms, Romy felt a strange peace. He was alone, yes, but not lonely. He had met the ruler of Zirian, and he had been accepted, at least for now. The first contact was complete, but he knew the true journey was just beginning. Romy stayed awake that night, watching the city glow. He thought of his team and the journey ahead. He knew that learning from the alien queen and her people would test him in ways he could not imagine. Yet he also felt hope. Perhaps humans could find a place in the stars not by conquering, but by understanding, respecting, and proving their courage. The queen watched silently from her platform. Romy knew that she was more than a ruler. She was a teacher, a judge, and a guide. The path ahead would be full of challenges, but he was ready to face them. He was alive on Zirian, and for the first time, he felt that being human was enough. Romy woke to the soft hum of the floating city. The light of Zirion's twin suns filtered through the crystal towers, painting colors across the platforms. He had spent the night in a small chamber provided by the alien queen. The walls glowed softly, adjusting to his movements, and the air felt alive with energy. Romy rubbed his eyes, still marveling at the city around him. The queen appeared without sound. Her presence filled the room. Romy bowed, and she inclined her head in acknowledgement. "Today begins your trials, human," she said in his mind. "You will learn our ways, and we will learn yours. This is not a test of strength alone, but of understanding, respect, and courage." Romy nodded. He had prepared for survival challenges and alien encounters, but he understood that these trials would be different. They were about more than physical skill. They were about proving that humans could act wisely, fairly, and courageously. The queen led him through the city. Platforms shimmered beneath their feet, and aliens moved gracefully among floating gardens and glowing rivers. Romy tried to keep up, careful not to disturb the flow of life around him. He noticed patterns in their movement, small gestures that indicated hierarchy, respect, and communication. Every step he took was a lesson. They arrived at a large courtyard filled with machinery unlike anything Romy had seen. Floating devices hovered and spun, powered by unknown energy. The queen gestured to the machines. "These devices have been damaged by storms. You will repair them. Use your mind and your hands. Observe, understand, and act. This is your first trial." Romy stepped forward, studying the machines. He realized they were delicate yet powerful. One misstep could destroy them. He took a deep breath, remembering his training. Carefully, he examined the first device. Its energy patterns pulsed in a way that seemed almost alive. Romy reached out with steady hands, adjusting small components, recalibrating circuits, and aligning floating energy nodes. Hours passed. Romy worked tirelessly. The queen observed silently, her eyes glowing softly. He felt no fear, only concentration. Slowly, the devices began to respond. Energy flowed smoothly through the nodes, machines came to life, and small lights blinked in a pattern that seemed to say approval. Romy smiled. He had passed the first part of the trial. "Your mind is clever, human," the queen said. "You understand patterns and logic, but there is more to learn. Observe our people and their ways. Show respect and empathy. That is your next trial." Romy followed her to a floating garden where aliens tended plants that glowed softly. Some plants moved in response to touch. Romy noticed an alien child struggling to guide a vine that refused to grow straight. Without thinking, he knelt beside the child and gently guided the vine. The child looked up, surprised but grateful. The queen observed from a distance, her eyes showing approval. Romy realized that empathy was as important as intelligence. He learned to listen to subtle gestures, understand emotions through expressions and movement, and respond with care. The city was alive with lessons, and every interaction mattered. The next trial came unexpectedly. The queen led him to a bridge of light suspended over a glowing river. Below, the water pulsed with energy. "Cross without fear," she sent in his mind. Romy understood that this was a test of courage. The bridge appeared solid, yet it shimmered and shifted. Every step required balance, focus, and confidence. Romy took a deep breath and stepped onto the bridge. The surface seemed to respond to his weight, glowing brighter where he stepped. Midway, a gust of wind swept through the city. Romy's heart raced. He felt the bridge tilt slightly, but he did not panic. He focused, placing one foot carefully in front of the other. Step by step, he reached the other side. The queen's eyes glowed brightly. "You have courage. You do not flee from fear, but you do not act recklessly. That is rare in your kind," she said. Romy felt pride mixed with humility. He knew the trials were not over, and each success brought new challenges later. The queen took him to a library filled with floating scrolls and glowing devices. The knowledge of her people was vast, spanning thousands of years. "Learn quickly, human. Our history, our ways, our art. Understanding is as important as action," she said. Romy spent hours reading, observing, and asking silent questions. He learned how the aliens had lived in harmony with Zirian, how they balanced power with care, and how every action affected the world around them. Romy's curiosity impressed the queen. "You do not rush to judgment. You seek understanding. That is wisdom," she said. Romy realized that his trials were shaping him into more than a survivor. He was becoming someone who could bridge worlds. As days passed, the trials grew more complex. Romy was asked to navigate a storm that threatened part of the city. Using only simple tools and his observation of wind and energy patterns, he guided floating platforms to safety. The queen and her guards watched silently, their trust in him growing. In another trial, he was asked to communicate with a group of aliens who were suspicious of humans. Using gestures, careful speech, and empathy, Romy showed them that he meant no harm. Slowly, they responded with gestures of acceptance. Romy understood that trust was earned not by strength alone, but by patience, respect, and courage. One evening, the queen brought him to the highest tower of the city. Below, the glowing platforms stretched like a network of stars. "Look at your progress, human. You have shown courage, empathy, and wisdom, but one final trial awaits. You must face a challenge that will test all you have learned," she said. Romy looked out at the city and realized how far he had come. He was no longer just a visitor. He had begun to understand the delicate balance of Zirian. The trials were not meant to break him, but to shape him. He felt a mix of fear and excitement. Whatever the final trial, he knew he would face it with respect and courage. The queen led him to a chamber filled with energy spheres. These spheres contained the balance of the city. One mistake can disrupt harmony. "You must align them using knowledge, observation, and care," she said. Romy approached the spheres carefully. They glowed softly, responding to his touch. He moved them slowly, adjusting angles and matching energy patterns. Hours passed. Romy's hands ached, and his mind was tired, but he did not stop. He remembered every lesson, every trial. Slowly, the spheres aligned perfectly, glowing brighter than ever before. Romy stepped back, exhausted but proud. The queen's eyes shone with approval. "You have succeeded, human. You understand courage, empathy, and wisdom. You have earned my trust," she said. Romy felt a surge of relief and pride. He had passed the trials of trust, but he knew that this was only the beginning of his journey on Zirion. As night fell, Romy stood with the queen on the highest platform. The city glowed below them like a sea of stars. "You have done well, human. You are more than we expected. Tomorrow, you will meet others of my people who will continue to teach and guide you. Your presence here is a chance for both our kinds to learn from each other," she said. Romy felt a deep respect for the queen and her people. He understood that Zirion was not just a planet, but a living world with intelligence, care, and power. He had been tested and had survived, not by force, but by respect, courage, and understanding. Mira floated near him, glowing softly. Romy smiled. Even small creatures of this world had lessons to teach. He realized that every being, every plant, every energy pattern was connected. Respecting the balance of Zirion was as important as surviving its challenges. That night, Romy slept peacefully for the first time since arriving. He had passed the trials of trust, but he knew the real journey was just beginning. Tomorrow, he would meet others of the Queen's people, learn more of their ways, and continue proving that humans could belong on Zirion. As he closed his eyes, he felt the energy of the city around him, gentle yet alive. He was no longer just a human alone on an alien world. He was a visitor, a learner, and a bridge between worlds. The Queen had shown him trust, and he would honor it. Romy understood one simple truth: courage, respect, and understanding were the keys to survival and to making friends across the stars. Zirion was testing him, but it was also teaching him. He was ready for whatever challenges awaited, confident that humans had a place in this glowing, living world. Romy had spent weeks in the floating city of Zirion. The trials of trust had taught him courage, patience, and empathy. He had learned to observe, understand, and adapt to the ways of the aliens. The alien queen had allowed him into the heart of her world, and Romy felt a deep sense of respect for the ruler and her people. Yet, he sensed that not all welcomed him. One morning, as Romy walked along a glowing bridge overlooking the city, he noticed whispers among the aliens. They spoke in gestures and soft pulses of energy. Some paused to watch him, their expressions cautious, suspicious. Romy understood quickly that trust had limits. Even though the Queen had accepted him, others were not so sure. The Queen appeared beside him, her presence calm yet powerful. "Not all of my people agree with your presence, human. Some fear change, some fear your kind. You must remain vigilant. A threat may come, and you will be tested not by lessons, but by danger," she said in his mind. Romy nodded, understanding the weight of her words. He had survived storms, navigated the city, and passed difficult trials. But a threat from within the alien society was different. It required intelligence, caution, and courage. He knew he could not act recklessly. Later that day, the warning became reality. Alarms rang across the city, soft but urgent pulses of light that spread through the platforms. Romy and the Queen moved quickly to the source. A faction of aliens opposed to the Queen's decision to allow a human had initiated a sabotage attempt. They targeted the energy conduits that powered the city, threatening to collapse the floating platforms. Dire OMI single quotes as heart raced. The city was in danger. Thousands of lives hung in balance. The Queen turned to him. "Use what you have learned. Your mind, your courage, your empathy. Help protect Zirian. Show that humans can be trusted." Romy did not hesitate. He observed the energy flows, noting weak points and unstable nodes. The sabotage had caused some platforms to tilt dangerously. Using simple tools, his hands, and careful calculations, he guided floating conduits back into place. He communicated silently with the Queen and her guards, indicating where support was needed. The hostile aliens were clever, using the city's energy against itself. Romy had to think quickly. He devised a plan to redirect the energy safely while trapping the intruders. He moved carefully, avoiding direct confrontation, focusing instead on strategy and observation. His human mind approached the problem differently than the aliens, noticing patterns they had overlooked. Hours passed as Romy worked alongside the Queen's loyal guards. Platforms swayed dangerously, energy nodes glowed erratically, and the city pulsed with tension. Romy's hands moved quickly but carefully. He repaired broken circuits, redirected unstable energy, and guided the loyal aliens to protect civilians. The hostile faction tried to counter him, but Romy anticipated their moves. Using clever traps and diversions to neutralize the threat without harm, the Queen watched silently, her presence steadying him. Romy realized that this was the ultimate test of trust. He was not only proving his courage and intelligence, but also showing that humans could act without violence when possible, using strategy and understanding instead. Finally, the last hostile alien attempted to breach the central energy chamber. Romy stepped forward. He did not confront with weapons, but with clever planning, using a series of energy pulses and carefully timed movements. He guided the alien away from danger and trapped them safely in a containment field. The city stabilized. Platforms stopped tilting, energy flowed smoothly, and the threat ended without major damage. The Queen approached him. Her glowing eyes reflected pride and relief. "You have done what few of your kind could. You have saved lives, preserved our city, and shown wisdom beyond your years. Today, you prove that humans are more than we imagine." Romy felt a mix of exhaustion and pride. He had acted not for glory, but because he understood the value of life and balance. He realized that courage alone was not enough. It was careful thought, empathy, and respect that had truly saved the city. The Queen led him to the central tower, overlooking the entire city. Below, the platforms glowed steadily, energy flowing in perfect balance. "You have earned the respect of many, though some still hesitate. Trust is not instant, human. It grows with actions, not words. Today, your actions have spoken clearly," she said. Omi nodded. "I understand. I will continue to act with care and respect. I want to learn, not only survive." The Queen observed him for a long moment. "Your kind is fragile in body, yet strong in spirit. You face danger without yielding. Think carefully when others rush, and act with empathy when others act with force. That is what makes you human, and that is why I trust you. Romy felt a deep sense of connection. The Queen's trust was more valuable than any reward. He realized that being human did not mean being the strongest or the fastest. It meant thinking, caring, and acting with courage and wisdom. As night fell, Romy walked through the city, observing the citizens. Some now nodded to him in recognition. Others still watched from a distance, curious but cautious. Romy understood that trust was earned slowly. He had passed a trial that no machine or test could replicate, the trial of real danger. Where lives hung in the balance. Mirror floated near him, glowing softly. Romy smiled. Even the smallest creatures of Zirian had noticed his courage and care. The city was alive with energy, life, and observation. Every being, from the largest to the smallest, was connected. Romy felt honored to be part of this living world, even temporarily. The Queen appeared beside him silently. You will continue to learn, human. The next phase is not about tests or danger. It is about alliance. You will meet others of your kind, and they will meet ours. The future depends on your ability to understand, teach, and protect. Romy nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility. He understood that Zirian was not just a planet. It was a civilization with knowledge, power, and wisdom beyond human understanding. He was learning not only to survive, but to be a bridge between worlds. That night, Romy reflected on the events. The threat had been real, but it had taught him more than any lesson in survival or knowledge. He understood the balance of courage and care, strength and wisdom. He realized that humans had qualities that even advanced aliens could admire: creativity, patience, empathy, and the ability to act bravely without resorting to destruction. As he lay down to rest, he felt the energy of the city around him. The glowing platforms, the floating gardens, and the softly pulsing lights were alive with observation. He was no longer just a human alone on Zirian. He was a participant in its story, a witness to its wisdom, and a protector in times of danger. Romy knew the challenges were not over. Some aliens still doubted him, and future trials awaited. Yet he felt a deep confidence. He had proven that humans could face threats with intelligence, courage, and empathy. He had earned a place of respect in a world far beyond Earth. The Queen's presence lingered near him, silent but reassuring. Romy understood that her trust was not casual. It was earned through thought, care, and courage. He had faced a threat from within, and he had survived, not by brute force, but by using the best qualities of his humanity. As sleep overtook him, Romy dreamed of the floating city, the glowing platforms, and the Queen's eyes. He knew the next day would bring new lessons, new alliances, and perhaps new challenges. Yet he was ready. Humans were fragile in body, yes, but strong in spirit. He had proven it. Romy was no longer just a visitor. He was a participant, a learner, and a protector. Zirian had tested him, and he had passed. The threat from within had shown him the true power of human courage and intelligence. He knew that whatever came next, he would face it with respect, understanding, and bravery. The sun rose over Zirian, casting soft golden light across the floating city. Romy stood on a high platform overlooking the glowing towers and rivers below. The city had recovered from the sabotage, and life moved with a calm rhythm. Romy had learned so much in the past weeks, but today felt different. The Queen had summoned him for a special purpose. The alien Queen appeared silently, her presence as commanding and graceful as ever. You have proven yourself, human. You have shown courage, intelligence, and respect. Today, you will take the next step. You will meet the Council of Elders and discuss the future of your kind among us. She said in his mind. Romy felt a mixture of pride and nervousness. The Council was the most powerful group in Zirian. If he could gain their trust, humans might form a lasting alliance with this advanced civilization. He followed the Queen across bridges of light, through gardens filled with floating flora, and into a large chamber where the elders awaited. The chamber was magnificent. Platforms floated at different levels, and the elders sat in a circle, their forms glowing softly. Their eyes watched him with curiosity and caution. Romy bowed respectfully, and the queen spoke first. These are the elders of Zirian. They decide the fate of all who live here. Today, they will judge your kind. Romy nodded. I am Romy, a human explorer. I come in peace and with respect for your world. I wish to learn and share knowledge between our peoples. The elders communicated silently among themselves, sending pulses of energy that Romy could barely understand. Then one elder stepped forward. Humans are unpredictable. They are fragile yet clever. We have heard your actions, but words must also reflect truth. Why should we trust your kind? Romy took a deep breath. He spoke carefully. Humans survive because we think, care, and adapt. We learn from mistakes and protect those we value. On Zirian, I have faced danger, learned your ways, and acted with respect. I do not speak only for myself, but for all humans who seek friendship, not conflict. The elders considered his words. Another elder moved closer. Trust is earned, not given. You have shown courage, but courage alone is not enough. Will your kind act wisely if given power or knowledge? Romy replied, We may be imperfect, but humans grow stronger when we learn. We do not always act perfectly, but we strive to do what is right. On Zirian, I have learned to balance courage with care, intelligence with empathy. I will teach my people to do the same. The elders paused, then slowly nodded. Energy waves passed through the chamber, a signal of agreement. Romy felt relief. He had passed the final trial of understanding and respect. His words, combined with his actions, had convinced the council that humans could be trusted. The queen turned to him. You have done well. Today, we will form a new alliance. Your people and ours can learn from each other. Together, we can face challenges that neither could face alone. Romy's heart swelled. He realized that humans, despite being fragile and limited in strength, had qualities that impressed even advanced aliens. Creativity, courage, empathy, and intelligence were enough to earn respect. He felt proud of his kind. The elders gestured for him to step forward. Energy flowed from them, forming a glowing symbol that hovered above Romy's hands. The queen explained, This is the mark of alliance. It is a promise between Zirian and your people. Through it, we will share knowledge, guidance, and protection. Romy touched the symbol carefully. A warmth spread through him, not only in his body but in his mind. He felt connected to the city, the queen, and the people of Zirian. The mark was a bond, a bridge between humans and aliens. As the ceremony ended, the queen led Romy to the city's highest tower. The platforms stretched far below, glowing softly. Look at your progress, human. You have faced storms, isolation, and danger. You have passed trials, earned trust, and shown your kind strength. You are no longer alone on Zirian, she said. I looked down at the city. He had seen it from above, from the bridges, and through the chambers, but this view was different. He felt part of something larger, part of a world that had accepted him as a visitor, a learner, and now an ally. The queen turned to him. You will return to your people. Teach them what you have learned. Show them that courage, empathy, and intelligence matter more than brute strength. Your presence here is the first step in a partnership that will shape the future of both our worlds. Romy nodded. I will teach them everything. I will make sure humans honor Zirian and its people. Suddenly, a group of young aliens approached. They had watched Romy from a distance during the trials, curious about the human who had gained the queen's trust. One stepped forward, glowing softly. You are brave, human. You do not act recklessly. Will you teach us about your people? Romy smiled. Yes, I will share what I know. Humans are curious, inventive, and care for one another. I hope we can learn from each other and grow stronger together. The young aliens nodded. Their energy pulses reflected understanding and excitement. Romy realized that trust was spreading, even among those who had doubted him. His actions had created ripples that reached beyond the queen and the council. That evening, Romy walked through the city with the queen. The glowing rivers, floating gardens, and crystal towers shimmered in the light of the twin suns. You have done more than survive, human. You have earned respect and begun a legacy. Others will follow your path, she said. Dire I felt a deep connection to Zirian. He thought of Earth, his team, and the humans who would one day visit this world. He understood that humans had a place in the stars, not through conquest, but through courage, intelligence, and respect. I will return to Earth, but I will carry Zirian in my heart, he said. And I will make sure humans know the value of what we have learned here. The Queen smiled, her eyes glowing softly. You are no longer alone, human. You have friends here, allies who respect your kind. Together, we will face challenges, share knowledge, and grow stronger. This is only the beginning. Romy spent the night on the highest platform, watching the city glow below. Mira floated near him, glowing softly, a reminder of the small yet important connections he had made. The Queen's presence lingered, reassuring and powerful. He understood that courage, empathy, and intelligence were enough to earn trust and friendship. Even across worlds, the next morning, Romy prepared to leave for the landing site. The Queen and a group of loyal aliens accompanied him. The floating city shimmered in the sunlight, a reminder of the lessons he had learned. He felt confident, ready to return to his people and share the story of Zirian. Remember, human. The Queen said, strength is not measured by power alone. Courage, understanding, and respect are what build true alliances. You have proven that your kind possesses these qualities. Go and teach them, Romy bowed. I will. I will not forget Zirian or your guidance. As he stepped onto his ship, the city fading behind him, Romy felt hope. Humans had a place in the stars. He had shown that even one human, acting with courage, empathy, and intelligence, could earn the trust of an advanced civilization. The alliance between Earth and Zirian was born, not through fear or force, but through respect and understanding. The ship rose into the sky. Romy looked down at the glowing city one last time. He smiled, thinking of the Queen, the Council, and the young aliens who had accepted him. He was no longer alone. He had friends, allies, and a story that would inspire humans to act wisely, bravely, and with care in the universe. As Zirian disappeared into the distance, Romy felt a sense of peace. The journey had been difficult, but it had shown the best of humanity. Courage, intelligence, empathy, and respect could cross worlds, connect civilizations, and create alliances that lasted far beyond a single lifetime. Romy knew that he had changed. Humanity had a place among the stars, and he had helped secure the first steps of a bond that could shape the future. He closed his eyes, feeling the energy of Zirian within him, ready to return home and teach the world what it meant to truly belong in the universe.